I'll admit it. I'm disappointed. And I will also admit it that the reason that I'm disappointed is because I am still, in so many ways, so very immature. This gospel, the parable that Jesus tells, gardener says, leave it for a year, I shall cultivate the ground around it and fertilize it. Well, that's a new translation. And in the older translation, they use the word manure. I always get a thrill whenever we can say words like manure in church, so I'm disappointed. But that's because I'm immature. Speaking of words, I get to get up before you week after week and share some words. And how effective they are, I'm not sure it really matters. How effective are any of our words? Certainly when we're talking about God, certainly when we are struggling with the great mysteries of life, words always seem to come up short. In the gospel, the apostles were talking about current events. But their understanding was that if bad things happen to people, it must be because they are bad people. That was the understanding, the conclusion that they had drawn, as had so many of their time. Jesus said, don't be so sure. What if life isn't as neat and as predictable as that? What if stuff happens? Those explanations we come up with all kinds of words for God, explanations of why things happen. God did this. God doesn't give you more than you can handle. God must have wanted this to take place. It's all our heads trying to help when our heart is wrestling. When tragedy strikes, you know, we're at a loss for words, or we should be. Many aren't. But in the really meaningful times, all our words fall short. When we look and we see suffering, like the apostles, wonder why. Where is God? Where is God? I hope that many of you are familiar with Elie Wiesel. He was a concentration camp survivor and prolific author and human rights advocate. In his book, Night, he shares this scene. The SS seemed more preoccupied, more disturbed than usual. To hang a young boy in front of thousands of spectators was no light matter. The head of the camp revealed the verdict. All eyes were on the child. He was lividly pale, almost calm, biting his lips. The gallows threw its shadows over him. This time, the Lagerkapo refused to act as executioner. 3 SS replaced him. The 3 victims mounted together onto the chairs. The 3 necks were placed at the same moment within the nooses. "Long live liberty!" cried the 2 adults. But the child was silent. "Where is God? Where is he?" someone behind me asked. At a sign from the head of the camp, the 3 chairs tipped over. Total silence throughout the camp. On the horizon, the sun was setting. "Bare your heads!" yelled the head of the camp. His voice was raucous. We were weeping. "Cover your heads." Then the march past began. The 2 adults were no longer alive. Their tongues hung swollen, blue-tinged. But the 3rd rope was still moving. Being so light, the child was still alive. For more than half an hour, he stayed there, struggling between life and death, dying in slow agony under our eyes. And we had to look at him full in the face. He was still alive when I passed in front of him. His tongue was still red, his eyes not yet glazed. Behind me, I heard the same man asking, "Where is God now?" And I heard a voice within me answer him, "Where is he? Here he is. He is hanging here on the gallows." Our lives don't always have nice, neat ways of wrapping everything up into pretty packages with bright bows on it. Sometimes life is messy. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. Most of the time. You know that. But we're very uncomfortable with not having some sort of explanation. And so many, if nothing else, they look at the question of evil. The conclusion that they draw is, it must be God. That's not what Christ came to show us. Why does this happen? Maybe we can learn to just be comfortable in situations like that, saying, "I don't know." But I continue to trust God. When it comes down to it, there's only one word that really satisfies our quest, our uncertainty. And that one word is God's word. spoken to us in love, given so that all human suffering will find meaning. Our lives will have purpose. Sometimes the best thing that we can do, the only thing that we can do in honesty, is silently trust. Because anything we say other than that, St. Augustine said, God is not what you imagine or think you understand. If you understand God, then you have failed. And Anthony de Mello once said, every word, every image used for God is a distortion more than a description. I stand up here week after week, try to talk to you from the heart about God. And I'm not sure I'm always humble enough, because I don't always remember that no matter what I say, it doesn't come anywhere close to the depth of the reality. And if I or we let ourselves forget that, it's important sometimes for us to remember, speak to God from the heart, because when we speak to God from the mind, we say all that we can possibly say, and we find that we've said very little. Like now.